rules are about putting like sleeves through their feet on the person. I see a need for that because one wire.
When we start the show, can you just tell me if you want to speak loud or low? I don't want to throw people out.
Looking two additional sleeves. Because I need to get from this patio into the garage, and from the garage into that, and I need to get electric. Electric is about 38. I don't know that I want to drill to that. I'd rather be a holder that can just pass down the road. It really couldn't hurt anything if I'm near the end of the beam near the top. It's not going to hurt anything.
How many do we have, guys?
Aaron, you think you turn the music down? Morning.
How you doing? Everything tasty? You want a little more coffee? You like that, thanks? Go ahead and I'll bring you some menu. Can we just have drinks?
Ready?
How are you? In the right spot. Yeah, right? That is so dirty.
This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, BG. BG. The following will be a test of ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach. Beach Talk Radio. Here are your hosts, Kim and Ed Wright.
And welcome to Wahoo Willie's, everybody. Give yourselves a round of applause. How about the food here today? Are we too loud? Is it too loud for, she says it's too loud. She turns my microphone down. I don't want to disturb you if you're eating. Turn your microphone up. Okay. There you go.
There we go.
Welcome, dear. Welcome
I
to the show.
will say, as far as eating, I mean, all of the food is good, but my favorite is that jalapeno bagel with the egg and the avocado. Oh,
I think I heard a round of applause for that.
That is a hearty sandwich. You will not leave hungry after that.
Let's see. I don't know how the sound is.
Is
the sound okay for everybody that's watching out there? And okay, go ahead, dear. You continue to talk, and I will work on the sound. Oh wait, I forgot to plug the sound in. Good thing I got here.
Well, there. Now we have something to talk about.
Here we go. I think the sound is going to be fine now. Go ahead.
They're trying to order their food, and they're so damn loud.
So tonight, everybody, sure we fixed it. The concert is on at Bayside Park. They 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. Tonight's band is limited edition. And also, there's entertainment here today from 12:30 to 3:30. Megan Rose will be playing. And, of course, we'll be here boring you for the next hour, other than when Dan talks. The mayor's here. So any questions that you have for the mayor, you can type them in the chat box, or you can actually ask them right here if you're interested in asking the mayor a question. So let's get right to it. Mayor, are you ready for your appearance? This is Mayor Dan Allers, everybody. Big round of applause for Mayor.
Run, Dan, run the other way.
Right.
Yeah, I think we fixed the sound. I forgot to plug it down. We're good now.
You're big time now. You should have a sound guy.
I know. Yesterday when we were at Margaritaville, we have a great spot, and you can see the beach in the background now, which is really, they would prefer just for us to get out of the camera so they can just see the beach and not do the show. But it's dark. Our faces are darked out, which is good because people don't need to see my face. I mean, why would they want to see my face when they're eating? But we're going to fix that. It's really, I mean, even when the weather is crappy, people are there. So
I had not been in there, so we stopped in there last night, just before they closed to kind of get out here. And of course, it's pouring rain, so we cut through the inside, and then there's a covered walkway. You know, you can go and then walk over the overpass, and you can stay covered pretty much until you go down the stairs. And as soon as we started going down the stairs, it's like the skies opened up, and then all the water coming off the roof was we were just soaking wet by the time we walked in there. But I can't remember what his name was, but he was really, really good artist. He was singing a little bit of everything.
Oh, I think the folks up here were talking about the DJ, right? The DJ that they had last night. He was singing and DJing. Yeah. They were loving the guy.
He gave us his card.
Oh, I need a copy of that card. Whoever has it.
He was really good. I mean, he was asking you to just yell out, suggestions. So of course, I'm yelling everything out in the sun. He played pretty much most everything I yelled out.
Yeah. So let's talk about the rain. Let's start with the rain and the mulch and all the landscaping at Margaritaville and the lighthouse basically got destroyed from the storm last night. Now, the first question I have is, who cleans that up? Whose job is it? Is it the town's job to clean it up, or is it the business?
Well, I don't know that. Knowing both those business owners and knowing the town, there's probably a collaboration with everybody. I don't think it's going to sit there for too long. I went by at about 7 o'clock this morning, and there was already people cleaning it up. So we got Frankie, Andy, and a couple of directors were out in Times Square this morning cleaning up Times Square. So it's kind of all hands on deck cleaning up. It was pretty close to Adelia with the water that we got.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you, how much water, some people said it was worse than Ibelia on their street. So how much was it? The rain? Was it the tide? What do you think was the biggest?
I think it was a combination of all three: tide, the rain, and the surge. I think they said we had 3 feet of storm surge. So I mean, it was pretty close to what we had, and the exact same spots that we had issues after Adelia on Estero Boulevard and the side streets is the exact same streets we had issues with now. So they're out there cleaning it up.
The stormwater still have to clean out those
it's just what it did is a lot of the empty lots, it pushes the sand out onto Estero Boulevard, and then if you don't clean that sand up, obviously it ends up right back in the storm drain. You got to clean it out again. So it's an ongoing process.
It just just rinse, repeat, and till buildings get up.
I don't remember ever having a storm and a surge like that this late into the season.
Right.
No.
So what is the solution so that this doesn't happen all the time?
Well, we got to get the beach renourishment done. I think once that's done, that'll help. Getting all the stormwater stuff completed, I think that's going to help. At the end of the day, that we can't control the tides. I mean, if the water's coming over the seawall, we can't control that, but we can control how much backfill or backwater that comes in through the storm drains with the lack of duck bills. We can control that to a point, but if it comes over the seawall, it comes over the seawall. We can't do it. I was just talking with Tim, my business partner for the golf carts, and he's got a brand new seawall, and he raised it 18 inches, and it was still over his seawall into his backyard. So, and that's in the back bay. I mean, there's nothing you could do about it.
And there wasn't even a high tide, right?
It was high tide.
Oh, it was high tide. I was watching the news, and they made it sound like it wasn't high tide, but
the storm. I mean, it was just the same areas were underwater, just exactly like Adelia.
And now, how much is that going to be fixed with the beach renourishment and the berm and the berm going in for those people that signed up for the berm, right?
Right. Well, that's the people that don't have the berm. It's again the same areas where the sand just came through, and you could see. I could tell all the water had receded by the time I drove down Estero, but you could see all the stuff that was sitting on the storm drain. So you knew there was a lot of water that accumulated, and once it went down, all the stuff just sat on top of the drains. But I think again with the finishing, hopefully eventually finishing the stormwater projects and getting the duckbills in and
what's a duckbill?
Yeah,
so
what is a duckbill?
A duckbill, it's looks like a duckbill. It's a big black thing that goes on the end of the outfalls that go into the back bays or into the canals. And what it does is a backflow preventer. It doesn't allow water. If there's nothing on there, the water as the tide rises can go into the storm drain water, and that's what's happening in Crescent and downtown.
So
area.
the water's coming in from the bay into
Yep.
the storm
into the
water,
storm drain system and then coming up. Yep.
So is that
Okay.
part of the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 that everybody keeps talking about? That's
Yeah.
going to take 5 years.
Well, it better not take 5 years.
Well, yeah, the contractor said it was going to take 5 years, and then you guys tried to step on his neck and say it can't take 5 years.
Well, I think originally they were talking about doing it, one tier, then the next tier, and we're trying to get them to do it all at the same time. If you can work together and try to get all it's not going to be comfortable for the people that live on the streets and where that has.
I don't think
had to
they
deal with
care
it.
if they know what the result is going to be, right?
Well, there's always people that care. I mean,
Right.
there's always you're trying to fix things, and it really disrupts your life. But so does the water that's sitting in your freshly rebuilt
Yeah.
house. So it's going to be a little bit of a process. But they're going to do the duckbills. I just talked to Frankie about it this morning. Sounds like they're waiting on one last one, the big one that's got to go on Crescent. Hoping to start at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
We've ordered these things a long time ago. We're just because we're a municipality doesn't mean we get things faster than anybody else.
So does the town put in the duckbills, or that's a
all-
contractor?
yeah, it'll be the same contractor that we hired, Andrew. He's called Andrew Site Work, that we gave the contract to at the end of November. That is going to be doing all this, the side streets. They're going to be the ones doing the duckbill as well.
So speaking of Frankie, I saw him and the staff out here this morning, early in the morning, running around, picking cones up. And I mean, it's Sunday.
Well, the first person, when I got down here, the first person I saw was Jeff Hug from Parks and Rec, the director. He's out here covering things up and getting Bayside Park back together. And Jason Freeman, Andy, and Frankie were running big equipment in Times Square to get the sand cleaned up this morning. So it's doing what you can to try to get it done.
So the next question I wanted to ask about is the lighting. I mean, the lighting situation seems to we always talk about it. It's a topic we talk about every single show, and it never seems to get started.
Well, we've executed the contract with FPL, so that they've got the signed contract. The county is still working with the state on the legal. The lawyers are going back and forth about the language. Once that's done, they'll get the funding from the state that they can pass through down to us. So FPL,
and that funding thing has been all worked out.
Yeah, we were on a conference call a couple weeks ago with the state, and they confirmed that it's going to be a one lump sum money that goes to the county that will pass through down to the town to pay for the street lighting. So
the town doesn't have to come up with that $2 million or whatever.
No,
it was.
Commissioner Hammond brought it up at the meeting that I went and spoke at, because I didn't want them to approve the contract because of the wording of, and we would have had to put out almost $2 million and carry for the entire length of the project. So he said, worst case scenario, the county would, voted in the worst case scenario, the county would front that money should it need to, because they know the money's coming from the state. But all that got cleared up. Now it's just a matter of the legal bees finishing the paperwork.
When is it going to start?
Good question. I don't know. We got a meeting with them.
Oh, jeez.
If I had $1 for every time that question's been asked for the last 6 years,
You'd really be rich.
Yeah, right.
So we don't know when it's going to start. It'll start when it starts. So the rest?
Where does it start?
We told them to start on Old San Carlos Times Square area,
Okay.
because obviously that's the darkest,
Horrible, yeah.
the darkest. And then after that they will finish and do all of Estero Boulevard first, and then move on to the side streets.
So are the lights that are on here now are the amber turtle friendly lights here that we see at night? Because there's some lighting here at night. Or
These are just temporary solar lighting, or
I
what
see.
survived the storm. If you want to see essentially what the light's going to look like, it's at the light at Crescent and Estero. Those crosswalks, that's essentially the lighting you're going to see all up and down.
Okay.
So the lighting on Old San Carlos is just what survived the storm.
Or
'Cause someone-
temporary solar stuff we put
Okay,
up to
because
try to
someone
get
was
some light.
saying the section down there is really dark, even compared to the
Yeah.
section up here. So
You know, we're trying as a town, we're not trying to spend too much money on temporary solutions because it's going to be replaced. So we're trying to provide that now that we're outside of turtle season, we can have different lighting. So we're going to have some sort of illumination done before, at least a temporary solution before New Year's Eve.
Oh, there will be some lighting.
Yeah. Andy knows that we need to have lighting down there. So it's just a matter of trying to find the most cost effective way to do it because it is temporary. So you don't want to spend too much money, but you got to make sure it's
down in
safe.
Times Square
Yeah.
or along
Well, just-
Old St. Carlo, the whole area.
Looking at all the issue we're running into is solar lights are good, but the ones that are going to last all night, you know, because you
Mhm.
need them to last, especially on New
Sure.
Year's Eve. They've got to last more than just 4 or 5 hours when everybody goes to bed.
Yeah.
So I know that they're looking at, I haven't had a chance to talk to Andy yet about if they found a specific solution, but
So speaking of Times Square, I'm going to skip
jump
ahead a
around.
little
Yeah,
bit.
Sure.
There's one particular piece of property on Times Square that I know you get sick of me asking about, and I get sick of looking at, and it's right on the corner by the pier, and it's totally dangerous. And there was a little dinky little orange fence put up that is not even up anymore on one side of the property. What is something going to be done about that piece of property before New Year's Eve when there are a lot of people in that spot?
Yes. Whether the staff's been in contact with the property owner, whether they get it done or we get it done, it will be done before. It'll be, my understanding is going to be some sort of chain link fencing, so at least protects the property, something a little more secure than the orange snow fencing. But whether they do it or we do it, we've informed that if you don't do it, we're going to do it. And so it's going to be done one way or another before New Year's Eve.
And then if you guys do it, you bill it back to them.
Right.
Are you?
Okay.
What other? I'm stuttering there. Sorry. What other things are being done with that property owner to get that taken care of? I mean, it's 14 months. Everybody else is not everybody else, but the
Right.
majority of property owners on the island are making an effort. Why isn't he making an effort?
I have not had a conversation with the property owner, so I can't ask why they aren't doing it, but they understand the urgency that the town is putting on them to make sure that this property gets secured at least.
Mhm.
And they know that we're willing to move forward with a little heavier hand if we need to. So I can't speak to them as to why they have chosen not to take care of the property.
And I know that there are some people that get on our Facebook page and they say, well, it's private property, so you shouldn't be walking on it. Nobody should be going on it. Well, that's not the
true.
point.
It's true. But
The point is that you're not cleaning up your mess, and everybody else is cleaning up their mess right now. Why aren't you cleaning up? And not only that, it's in the most visited part of Fort Myers Beach. And I know you're sick of me saying the same thing week after week.
I'm
but
getting sick of you
yeah,
saying it.
well, you
week
get sick
after
of no
week.
matter what I ask. It doesn't have to be. On
I gotta believe
property.
you're getting sick of me giving you the same answer.
I
week
know.
after
It's
week.
like I walk over there. Now I walked over there just by chance the
It's
other
just
day,
gonna keep
and
going,
the cement
folks.
is starting to collapse now. It's not even
Yeah.
that it's just sitting there. It's starting to fall into the sand. That guy was making plenty of money when the place was open.
Yeah, I mean they've been there for 40 years, so I mean 30 or 40 years. So I got to believe, and that's the biggest argument that I have are people that are saying, well, you know, it costs money or it costs too much. Well, how much money have you made over the last 30
No
years?
kidding.
Right.
And you know,
It costs money. It costs everybody on this island money to get their place cleaned up and
Yeah,
their
nobody
houses
was-
rebuilt. Nobody's making any money on this.
well, and for me, the most frustrating part is there was an opportunity for it to get removed for free.
For free.
And they didn't take advantage of that program, and
And
why
that
they
ship
didn't-
has sailed.
that ship has sailed. I mean, the business owners in there got together, and we had a meeting when Jacksonville was still down here. Their emergency response team was still down here. Myself, them, and all the business owners, or all the landowners, I should say, in that got together, and it was a pretty heated conversation amongst some of the landowners in there to get involved in this program.
Yeah.
And we actually went as far as to sit down with some of the landowners who are not technically savvy and actually help them go through the Ian Debris cleanup website and sign them up and get all that done. But for some reason, this one property didn't take advantage of you know, they were able to get, I think it was
What could
it was
be the
Terry and
reluctance?
then got their equipment in there, and I think Daniel Clarkson or Daniel from,
Yeah.
I think he funded some of it. And
Wow.
they got it all pushed to the right away where we could get the debris haulers in there and get that picked up. But for some reason, that property wasn't wasn't
crazy.
part of that.
I mean, I think if it was like a side street, and well, I'll move on after this, but if it was like a side
Sure you
street where
will.
you couldn't see it and
He'll
it wasn't
circle
by
back.
the pier and people couldn't walk up the steps from that, I mean, you can walk up the steps. It wouldn't be as big a deal. It certainly wouldn't be as big a deal for me, but it's like, that's like your welcome mat. That's Fort
Right.
Myers Beach's welcome mat right in that area, especially with the fireworks coming up, where you're basically
Well-
inviting people to come down.
And I think another, now that you're kind of outside that emergency cleanup that we went through, now I mean, and I don't know this for sure, but my guess is you've now got to deal with DEP to get that cleaned up because you're on the beach. So now you're going to deal with that kind of permitting, and where if you'd have just did it when everybody else did it, there were
Now, is there when the beach renourishment project, the big one starts, is that area of the beach going to get a lot of sand? I mean, it's so close to the
Yeah. Will it
property.
go? How
How
far
far out will
out
it
to
go?
the pier will it go?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many numbers and there's so many different things. Chad is, I think, the only one that knows that inside and out. Him and Poff. I think they're the only
Mike
two
Poff,
that really understand exactly how far it's going to go and where exactly it's going to be. And it's changed a little bit. After Adalia, it changed it. And they had to resurvey it and do it again. So I'd be lying to you if I told you I knew exactly how far
But that
every
part
section.
will
wait a
get
minute.
some sand.
The beach is going to get renourished. It's just going to. So there's a lot of confusion about the sand that you're still seeing. That sand is beach that you're seeing, like at the old cottage and stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
berm sand, and then the or what's left of the berm sand, I believe that's got to be close to done. I haven't had a chance to talk to Chad this weekend, but that's what that sand is. The renourishment project is going to be the stuff that's dredged in from the offshore,
Which
shoals.
hasn't started
That
yet.
has
yeah.
not started yet.
Right.
I believe we finally got the FDP permit, and they're expecting to start that early first quarter. of
And isn't the
2024.
idea to get it so it's not like this, but a kind of an even contiguous?
Like basically what we had before the storm? It kind of was a gradual slope that went out. And I believe it's going to kind of go out, where that first kind of sandbar is. If you ever walked in the water, you had the sandbar, and then it went down a little bit, and there was another sandbar. I believe it goes out about to that first sandbar and eliminates that. So it's going to be out quite a ways, and it's going to raise it up so that there's a gradual slope from the berm down to the water.
The Vikings win yesterday?
Yeah, get out of here.
Oh, that was painful. Even I watched that, and I was like, ooh,
They need
ouch.
to end this game.
How do you,
Oh.
Did you
do you-
watch it?
I did, and it was so. I told Megan, I said when we were up by 14 points, I said they're going to lose this by a field goal because the Vikings, whenever they get a lead, they play to not lose. And our defense has been excellent all year. In the second half, it's like, oh, we're just going to take a nap. And then they came down and scored 3 times in a row, and I'm like, now it's tied up. And I could not get over. It's 3rd and inches, and they do what they, the tush push or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Twice.
With the smallest guy on the team.
I know. 181 pounds, I
Is that-
think they said he was.
If he's 181 on the screen, he's probably 150. And then the worst, on 4th down, they do the exact same play with the exact same guy. I'm like, oh my god.
I know this isn't a football podcast, but she calls all the quarterbacks babies. Like all the quarterbacks in the NFL are babies because you're not allowed to touch the baby.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
did you-
gotta protect the baby.
Did you see on
And
those
they
two?
all get hurt anyway.
I know.
But on those 2 plays? Did you see the baby? He was wrapped up like a baby in there. His helmet sideways, his nose sticking out the ear hole.
What was that the same game where the guy was kicking it and the guy pushed his own player into him and they knocked that guy out? I mean,
That was on a punt return. Our guy pushed their player
that was
into.
a bad call. He pushed him right into the
That's
receiver.
legal, though.
Oh, that's dumb. They need to change that rule.
I mean, you gotta. Yeesh.
It's so funny though. Everybody,
he rocks that
it's
guy's
like
world.
every team in the NFL now is playing with the blender over there. What's going on? Come on, we're trying to do a show here.
Somebody wants a daiquiri.
Everybody's playing with a 3rd-string quarterback now.
Yeah,
and
I think we're
everybody's
on
6 and 8, by the way. I mean, anybody could be in the playoffs. But
It's whoever's going to get hot at the end of this.
yeah, what's that?
The peanut gallery.
What are they saying? Which team are they for over there?
Oh yeah, well it's my wife. She's a Browns fan, and it's the first time I think.
Ohio over here, the two. Well,
think-
they're from Kentucky. They're from Kentucky. They're just afraid to say they're from Kentucky. That's why they said we're from Cincinnati. We
Yeah,
can see
yeah.
Cincinnati from where we live, which is
Exactly.
hilarious. Oh,
Yeah, I mean we're a house divided. She's a Browns fan. I'm a Vikings fan. We've both been in misery for years
no
and
kidding.
decades, and
yeah.
this is the first time I think her team in our lifetime has had a better record than ours. So,
I'm a Giants fan, so we have our third string quarterback who is like a phenomenon in New York City now because he's undrafted. Anyway, enough about football.
He's
Who
got
cares?
the greatest dressed agent on the
I know,
planet.
right? And everybody is the whole
Is he
Italian
wearing-
mafia thing
Yeah.
is taking off.
Is he wearing Lululemon?
Oh, I don't know what
So-
he's wearing, but he looks like an actor from Scarface.
If anybody that follows the show knows that we had a guest on that was wearing he was a lawyer and he had stuff from Lululemon on.
And Brooks Brothers, yeah.
and it
he
was like, wow,
dressed
he's
to the nines.
spiffily
What's a
dressed.
Yeah.
Lululemon?
So
It's not.
thank you, Dan. Thank
I
you.
wouldn't
We're
know that.
What's
we're
a
average
Lululemon?
Americans. We don't know what Lululemon is. We don't make that kind of elite money.
What was the other one you said?
Brooks Brothers.
Brooks Brothers.
You know Brooks Brothers.
So
yeah.
I wear flip flops and shorts.
I know, right? You
Listen,
shop
if you
at the
want to
Goodwill.
spend $175 on a pair of pants,
So okay,
that's
you're
where
ruining my
go.
story there. So if I wore some of the gear that he had on from Lululemon, I'd be looking studly. So her mom goes to a Lululemon store, which I didn't even know existed, and tries to buy something for Christmas. And she's like, screw you. I'm not buying anything for you. It was $175 for a pair of pants or a shirt or something.
Yeah, it was $80 for a t-shirt.
And it doesn't say Beach Talk Radio on it. I'm not wearing it anyway.
Funny story about things that are expensive. I remember this is years and years ago, long before I moved down here to Florida. I'd never heard of Coach purses. And I go, what's a Coach purse? It sounds like
Yeah.
Anyway, I had to go buy a Coach purse for Christmas, and
Everybody, you did. You had to.
Well,
what does a Coach purse cost?
So that's what I'm getting at. So everybody's talking, and they're like, "Oh my God, them are expensive." So I'm walking in thinking I'm going to spend $2,000-$3,000 on this stupid purse.
Wow.
So I go in there, and the purse that was wanted was like $400, and it's still expensive, I think.
Yeah,
but
for
I
a
was like,
purse.
But for you were like, all right.
it's
well,
kind of like
this is
when you go to a
bargain.
movie that everybody's like, "Oh, greatest movie ever," and then you walk in and see, you're like, that was a big waste of 2 hours.
Yeah.
Well, it was the opposite for the purse. I walked in, and they're like, "This is $400." I'm like, "Pfft, I'll take it. I thought,
So is it a purse? Was it a?
Yeah.
Where's you have your Coach purse on you, Megan?
No, it wasn't Megan.
Oh, it wasn't
It was
Megan.
long before I met Megan.
I see. Bell Tower, I got you.
Yeah.
So
And you spend $400 on a purse. I think I saw it used once.
yeah,
It sat in there on the closet
because you never want to use something that costs $400. You might ruin it or forget it somewhere. So I want to, by the way, folks that are watching on Facebook, thank you all for your recommendations. I blocked Kim, my wife, from Facebook for 48 hours,
Kim, my wife versus Kim, who?
my current wife. I
Okay.
blocked her from Facebook for 48 hours, and I asked people for recommendations for Christmas gifts, and I knocked it out in one day. I got everything I needed. It was
So what'd you get her?
There were some things that I'd never heard of that people recommended. I was like, really? That sounds different, but I'll get it. I'll buy it.
Yeah.
And then you go to Amazon now and they wrap it for you. $3.99, they wrap it for you. I'm like,
Well,
fucking-
that's
hey,
not
hell
really
yeah,
fair.
man,
All
I'm
right,
doing
then
that.
I'm gonna put out. So
You shouldn't have
got-
said that part.
No.
Honey, I wrapped it myself.
That's
and
the
I-
way. No, that's the way your
People need to
Christmas.
send me their
Please.
suggestions because I never get you anything good for Christmas.
She knows.
I am not a good Christmas shopper.
I have everything, dear. As long as
Well,
I
you
have
have
you,
everything,
I don't need anything
but
else.
I don't ever.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else
Well,
smell
I'm
the
gonna
brake
wrap
dust?
that up.
The what?
Good brakes. Good brakes.
Oh, so she knows that if the tape isn't sideways and the wrapping thing isn't the white showing, that I didn't wrap it anyway. So
Yeah, he doesn't believe in tags, so he takes a Sharpie and writes "wife" on it.
I don't want her to get confused with anyone else in the house, which is
Yeah,
the
you only have
dogs.
to be concerned if you start seeing Roman numerals after it.
Oh, so we were at a Christmas party last night, which nobody ever invites me to a Christmas party, which is really unusual. So we were at a Christmas party and we're walking back to the car because I said we're only going to stay for an hour because it's 8:00 at night and I have to go to bed. And so
We stayed for 2 though.
we stayed
was an
for a
amazing
couple hours,
party.
and as we're walking by, there's this lady who's walking her dog. I don't even know why we're doing this show. I mean, why are you here? I mean, we don't need to ask any questions.
I don't know.
So this
Just trying
lady's
to help.
This lady's walking her dog, and I'm in the car already because I need to go home. And she's yelling at me, "Get out of the car! Get out of the car!" And this lady had this brand new bulldog, like this
It was
6-month-old
so cute.
male
Look at
bulldog.
him. He lights up every
Oh
time.
my
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
it was the greatest thing. So I said, "Well, where'd you get the bulldog?" She goes, "Well, from a breeder." I said, "Well, where was the breeder?" She goes, "California." I said, "You went all the way to California to get a dog."
Yeah.
And that's a long way to. You can't
That
find
is.
a bulldog in North Carolina or
Well, we
Georgia.
we got our dog Foley from in Minnesota, and it was
but you live in Minnesota.
No,
You're
we
from
were up there
Minnesota.
visiting. Well, we were up
he's
there
from it.
visiting,
Maybe she was from California.
and but it was a quarter of the price of buying a lab down here.
Oh.
So we were able to get the dog, get a plane ticket, get a crate, and get the dog down here for less
So
than half.
when you buy a dog from a different state, how do you do you have to put it? Did they put it in the baggage underneath, or
No,
what
no,
do
no.
they do with
You
the
can
dog?
up to I think it's 16 pounds. They can fit into a carrier, and I've seen bigger dogs if they're service dogs. I've seen
Yeah,
they can't put
them.
them under there because of pressure.
I need to get out more, but I've never been on a plane ride where there was a dog. Never. Never.
It's like every plane ride I've been on lately,
Yeah.
there is a dog on it.
Yeah.
There's always like a 12-year-old kid behind me kicking my chair, though. I'm never a dog, but there's always that one kid.
Yeah.
And the parent's not saying shit to the kid either. They go, just let the kid kick my chair.
Now we fully fit in a little tiny crate. He
Where's
was like
Megan's, yeah.
16.2 pounds at the time we brought him back, but we put him in the carrier. He sat right between Megan's legs and slept the entire way back.
All right. Let's get back to
let
this.
me ask.
Go ahead. You ask the next question.
You were in
How do you read that?
Tallahassee recently.
Yes.
How did that go?
Good.
What did you get?
Well, we met with I can't remember the exact title, but
He's got to go to the
Yeah.
bathroom.
we met with the director from the governor's office, the administrative office, that handles all the money, and I can't remember his specific title. Chris Spencer is his name, and we had a good conversation with him. Our ask was revenue replacement. We want to, we're $7.5 billion over the 2 years. We're estimating we're going to lose in ad valorem taxes and other taxes. So we were asking for the revenue replacement to come out of the current $350 million that was from last year's, because there's still money there. So $7.5 million is a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, it's
compared to 350.
that will help us get through the next 2 years. By then we'll have houses back. We'll start be able to kind of stand on our own 2 feet with that part of it. So we asked for that. He's going to look into it. Hopefully we can get that before we get into the legislative session, or we can get an answer on that.
No, because one time we were talking, or a couple of times we've talked about how, reiterate for people, how they hold the money and they don't give you everything up front because they give it to you when you need it, right? So is that revenue replacement, would they maybe give you 1 year and not the next year? And
We're not exactly sure. We're just trying to get a commitment to be able to get it, because the fire district got money for revenue replacement. So there's precedent that it did happen. So we're just trying to see if we can get that to help us out. So it's one less thing we have to worry about. And we've gotten so much help from the state. We got the $8 million for the beach renourishment. We got the $5 million loan to work on some of the projects through FEMA. We got another $8 million for the lighting, almost $8 million for that. So 22 million roughly we got through the appropriations, on top of everything else that was done before we got into the legislative session. So we're certainly grateful for all of that. And we don't want to ask for more than what we need. And we want to be good stewards of the money and use it where we can use it to keep the projects going. So, we're listening to them. They don't want to, as I said before, they're not in the business of giving you $25 million for a town hall that's going to take 3 years to build.
Right.
Just using that as a number. So they would give you so much up front to be able to do the first part. Then next year you ask for more. And then
So Dan,
yeah, that's what I was getting at about if you're asking for 2 years, would they, would that fall under that caveat of like a year here and then a year later?
It didn't seem, we didn't really
Okay.
get that granular with it.
Okay.
We know it's roughly $7.5 million. If we could get it all at once, that would be
That would be
great.
great,
And
yeah.
Joe, he does an excellent job, and we were very fortunate to find Joe on Zick. He's so great.
That's your
And-
finance director.
Yeah,
we were
and
talking
he's
about
the
him
first
last
one
night.
to. He's the first one to. He'll shut the books on your fingers. If you're getting out of hand, he's
Yeah.
got a good pulse of where we're at and how to keep things moving and where money is and where money isn't and how it can be used, how it can't be used. We're really fortunate to have him.
So about Tallahassee, like you're a pickup truck kind of go out with the group and sweep the streets and clean the muck up. How do you adjust to go up there with all those muckety mucks in their
There we
suits and
go.
ties and
It's-
they're all think they're bigger than life up there.
It's different for sure. The first year was, you don't know what you don't know, and you're kind of walking around, and I wasn't intimidated, but it was, you don't know the process. The
Mhm.
process in Tallahassee is much different than at a local level or even at the county level. So it was getting used to it. Now that I've done it a couple times, and now they know what you're there to ask. I mean, we're one municipality that's
Yeah.
asking. It's this. I got to believe it's the same.
Yeah.
For every single. I mean, you get 10, 15 minutes
Right.
with your delegation members and anybody else that you're going to see, whether it's the chair. So you only get so many minutes. You you have to make an impression, I think. So I try to make sure when I go up there, I'm not telling the same story that a lot of people go up there with this sheet and we need 20 million for this, we need 5 million. I just try to tell our story and try to, this is why we need it. Here's what we've done with what you've given us. Here's what we plan to do if you help us some more. So just try to give them the story of where we're at, how we're recovering. And it seems to work because they pay attention. Because sometimes you see, they just gloss over.
Why is this delegation seem hell bent on sticking their fingers in the way the government works down here? Like they want to change. They want to change how the fire departments run. They want to change how the mosquito district is run. Now they want to change how Lee County is run. They want Lee County to have a mayor and to expand that. Why are they? They seem like they need to get their tentacles in the smaller governments.
I don't know. I can't speak for the delegation members. They're the ones that are going to tell you why.
Just
they're doing
between us kids, what do you think?
I don't. From what they've said, if there's too much, if there's ways to save money, is kind of what the avenue that I'm seeing. If you've got too much money being spent that could merge in and save the taxpayers money, who's going to say no to that? It's kind of what I've heard. The voters at the end of the day, let them vote. If it's a good idea, it's a good idea. If it's a bad idea, it's a bad idea. The voters will tell you what they want.
I'm pretty sure that everyone here in this, I don't want to speak for you. I'm pretty sure that everyone in this room would agree with me that government has never come up with a good idea.
Well,
I mean, really, just come up with one. Can you name one?
Well, I
don't mean to put you on the
spot.
No.
You know what? Now that I've been on both sides of it, I was the same way. What does the government ever do? And then when you see actually how much help on the inside that you get from the state and the county and the federal, especially after a disaster like this,
well,
it's very hard to say they don't do anything right. Everybody makes mistakes. Processes that they have are outdated.
So they're
and
writing
flawed.
checks right.
Well, and bringing in help. I mean, you think, look at the people that were down here right after the storm. We wouldn't have had roads open if they didn't have people down here from Jacksonville and from the Bayou and from New York that were down here. I mean, they were doing the work that our staff wasn't equipped to do.
No, I don't disagree with that. I think there would have been no way to get it done unless there was that kind of help. I just feel like,
I mean, look at Sanibel.
I know, but I feel like you guys are the experts at this. It really shouldn't have taken so long for a certain amount of things. And then FEMA, okay, I don't want to get on the FEMA thing again because luckily we don't have to deal with FEMA.
But
what else did you get in Tallahassee?
We're just one small piece of all of what happened in Ian. We're just a 7-mile island. So you have to put that in. You got to ask for what you need, hope you get what you want, and at the end of the day, this is the entire state's taxpayers' dollars, not just Lee County's taxpayer dollars. So
flush with cash.
It's their job is to make sure they're doing what they can do to be as financially responsible as possible.
So what else did you get in Tallahassee?
Well, this was a short trip. We were invited up to speak at the Hurricane Resiliency Committee. Myself, Holly Smith, John Lai, and Marty Harity from Dock Forwards. The four of us spoke at the committee, basically on where we were at, where we're going, what could we do better, things like that. Holly had as she always does, she had a very great detailed presentation with dollars. My presentation was more about, as we talked about on the show last week, getting people back to their houses. How can the state help local governments get people back to their houses and not get in the way of first responders? So hopefully we can work on stuff like that. John Lai did a great job of talking about businesses
awesome.
and where we're at as far as TDC and things like that. And then, anybody that knows Marty, Marty doesn't pull any punches.
That's right.
He really went after the SBA, which rightfully so, because it was an interesting stat that John Lai had up. I think he said it was 106 people on Sanibel applied for SBA business loans, and as of July, there was still 0 funds given out.
I went to the Indian Creek. The Indian Creek had where I'm talking about over by Walmart. They're still dealing with worse things than on Fort Myers Beach with trying to get back in their properties over there. And somebody from SBA or the government came up there and they just lit her on fire about how they come up sometimes with this happy face and this pocket full of money, and then they just don't deliver. And the people are like, okay, we've tried that. Well, and now you're just screwing with us. You're just making it worse.
The biggest difference I saw between the state level and what Governor DeSantis did and the federal level through FEMA had a ton of people here, and they did give out resources, and they gave us $7.5 million right away after the storm to help get projects going.
Yeah.
So again, they did help, but the biggest thing I noticed was there was always a lot of people around. There was always people willing to help, but there were no decision makers.
Right.
There was whereas the state, the governor has said, Director Guthrie, you're in charge, and then Director Guthrie put other people in charge to make decisions.
He really.
So we had a bunch of people here that were helping, but no one was able to do the decision making.
Yeah.
And what would happen is you would get to a point where you would have a rapport with the people over 2 or 3 weeks that were in place. They started to understand the issues. They understand where you needed
And
things.
then they'd switch
and then
out.
they'd switch them out, and then you start all over
we
again.
noticed that too. Like we had a FEMA guy on the show in Times
Yep.
Square, and then 2 weeks later he was gone, and there was somebody else, and there was
Yeah.
somebody else, and I was
It's-
like, wait,
it's like
what
a-
happened to the last guy? I just started to have a relationship with the last guy. Well, I don't mean it like that, but you know what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm saying.
They understand.
I didn't have a relationship with any guy. Stop laughing. It was nothing like that. You
Back
know what
to
I'm
the
talking
bulldog.
about, though. Yeah. So now I've lost my train of thought because I don't know what
We're talking about SBA and
No. Okay.
But some of the and they were saying that some of the businesses now in Sanibel, and not just Sanibel, but around Lee County, have gotten liens put on their properties because they can't. And
Yeah.
now they can't go get a different source of funding through a normal bank because there's a lien on the property. So it's created a whole big mess, and it's a flawed system. Their process is broken.
Yeah. I know what I was going to say. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'll forget again. Chauncey Goss said it the best
Yes.
when he was in front. He said there were a lot of boots on the ground, but there weren't any brains on the ground, or something like that.
Well, he made the correlation between a battlefield. You had a lot of soldiers here, but you didn't have any generals. Essentially, is what he said. You had people that were there to do the work, but they weren't empowered to make decisions.
So, what's going on at Bay Oaks? When is Bay Oaks going to open for the community?
Well, I just had a very good. Well, we'll say I had a conversation with the owner of Gleason the other day.
With who?
Gleason. That's who got the contract
Oh.
to redo Bay Oaks. Their contract is till the 27th. We've had issues with them, with us.
What do you mean the contract that it expires?
No,
on
no,
the
no.
20?
They have to be completed by the 27th of December is their contract.
Wow, that's
So
right around the corner.
They said they're going to be ready. There's been holdups. From the beginning we had a challenged bid, which held us up. Then we got into, we couldn't get power, which was holding up their testing of some of the things. We had something that nobody anticipated. We had to come up with an architectural drawing of the building from 1984 to be able to get through the fire inspection part of it for, life safety stuff. So there was a combination of things that have held this up. So if we can get the doors open on the 27th, they say a week earlier. So I'm hoping, but there's a lot of frustrated. They're frustrated. The contractor's frustrated.
I totally forgot my question.
You asked when it's going to be open.
27th?
That's when they're.
Or the
It better
20th.
be. Well, I'm hoping before then
Okay.
that we can get it open. But right now, until you get the CO, you can't have the kids in there.
Well, today's the 17th. I mean, that's like right around the corner.
You don't seem happy with the contractor.
I'm not.
Okay.
And I told them that. I'm not. It's. I'm old school. I was, a contractor. Your word is your bond. I understand things happen. You tear a wall down, and there's ants, or there's that's stuff that you could not plan for. But when we're getting change order after change order for smoke detectors, we didn't know they were there. An exit sign, we didn't know it was there. Well, when you did your walkthrough, did you not take notes?
Right.
Did you know? So that's the stuff that was frustrating.
You feel
me.
like they're messing with you right now.
Well, and it's not that they're huge amounts. And then the issue I had was, well, here's your change order on Friday. We need it paid, or we're not going to continue work. That's not how you do business, in my opinion. It's not how government, you don't, it's not like a normal homeowner where you can say, I need this to be able to complete the job. The homeowner writes you $2,000 check and you move on. It's got to go through its council. It's got to be approved. It's got to, and it has to get put on an agenda. It has to get properly noticed. So it's not something that happens overnight. And once it gets approved, then it's got to go to the finance department to sign off and everything. And it's a delayed project. Anybody that's ever dealt with government and government work knows that you're going to be waiting a couple months to get your payments for anything, because it just has to go through a process. So we had a good conversation. It started out very heated. We talked through it.
Did you use the F-bomb?
I did not. He did. He did a few times.
The contractor did.
Oh, he was not happy with me because I brought up the whole challenging of the bid thing, and he wasn't happy, and calmed him down. So, we're all adults here. Let's talk through it. And by the end of the conversation, we were all on the same page. We all understand, sometimes you just got to let people air out that, I'm sure he's angry because his contractors are trying to get work done. And, coastal community is much different than Michigan, where they're from.
Yeah.
So, Minnesota, how you build a house and how you have to do things is much different than Florida. And then you add in the coastal community on top of it. There's a whole nother layer of challenges on it. So it's just a little bit different that some contractors are having to listen to, but
do you wish you picked a different contractor?
Sometimes I got to let him air out his grievances, just let him cry on the back, and then we can move on. So
do Do you wish you picked a different contractor looking back?
I wish we would have been in this building a long time ago,
Yeah.
because our goal was to have it done when the kids got back into school. That goal didn't get met. That upset me. And, we have an agreement with the county or with the school board to get those kids back in. So we're
Yeah.
Left.
again, if you give someone your word, let's
Yeah.
get it done. And their word is to be done by the 27th, according to their contract. So they said they'll be done.
And so then the kids can, because the Bay Oaks serves as the after-school program,
Yeah,
right?
right now they're going to the Mound House. So they're taking them over to the Mound House. But as soon as we can get the CO, just waiting on a few sign-offs from the fire department to be able to get that CO for some things that, smoke detectors, things like that.
So Claire's got a good question. We always ask about it. So I'll bring it up. How are we doing on permitting? What's your thought on how permitting is going?
Well, I mean, I'm not getting a lot of emails. So again, I always judge it based on emails or conversations. People aren't stopping me on the street saying, what the heck's going on? I have heard a little bit I've seen a couple of emails about the inspections. We've got different inspectors now. So we're trying to figure out a process, and it's out there. It's just a matter of kind of like Comcast. They say we're going to be there between 2 and 4.
2 and 4, you'd be lucky if it's
Right?
just a 2-hour
Type
window.
of- or it's like
Between
noon
8 and
4,
5.
Whatever. But we're trying to, people are busy, and the thing with inspections, there's so many inspections. It's hard to say I'm going to be there. If I'm going to inspect a full house, it's going to take longer than I'm just going to look at a drain. So
Right.
Yeah.
it's
So-
not an
so-
excuse. It's just, and we've got to get better with figuring it out. And I had a good conversation this week with John Delmer, who's managing all of the people for us.
Okay.
He understands it. But we've gotten a lot of compliments on the new people that we've brought in, who were very helpful, very polite, got them in the right direction. And I think people are starting to understand if they actually come in. Every time I go into the trailer, there's always someone in there meeting with our staff.
Good.
Can we do this? Can we do that? So when they submit it, they're only submitting it one time. Don't forget this. And you just eavesdrop on some of the conversations. You'll hear the staff say, you can do that, but if you go this way, it'll be much smoother for you and you can achieve the same goal. So I think having those conversations help both our staff and the applicants.
So grade the permitting today, December 17th, 2023.
Compared to,
Just give them a grade. A through F.
I would say a C+.
C plus.
Yeah.
So still room for
So
improvement.
there's always room for improvement. It's never going to be, again, I've said it, I'll keep saying it. Anyone that's ever been involved in any permitting process anywhere in the United States, it is a very, especially if you don't know all the ins and outs,
Right.
it's very, very difficult.
We were just
to
talking
do.
about that
Right.
before the show.
And the best thing you can do is like anything else. You don't go buy a car. You don't just walk into a car lot and say, I'm going to take that one and go.
Oh, I did. I can't stand buying a car. That's a bad comparison.
Well,
I just want a car.
you're
and
an
I don't even
anomaly.
want you. I don't
He
even
is-
want you haggling
You're
with
an-
me.
you're an
That's a
anomaly.
nice
Get away
thing.
from
That's
me.
a nice way to say it. But yeah.
So just a couple of quick.
Well, I was just going to say, you hired on that other group. Looking back, is that something maybe that you thought would have helped sooner to get that other group on to help with the permitting?
I guess I don't understand the question.
Then-
I wish we would have done it sooner. Certainly. Yes.
Yeah. So we often talk about, we were talking yesterday about, eventually a storm is going to hit another part of Florida.
Mhm.
And so one of the lessons, what are some of the, you learn as you go. It's not like a criticism. It's just like, well, this is
Sure.
what we learn. And that's might be one of those things that you guys would be able to pass on to the unfortunate community that it happens to. All the lessons you learned about dealing with FEMA and the SBA and all of this stuff, that might be a nugget of information to say, hey, get some help in
Sure.
because the permitting is going to be like this tsunami of,
Well, and I think a lot of it
Paper.
is, if you're uncomfortable, it's hard to do a job if you're uncomfortable, right? Or you don't have the right tools. I would welcome anyone. I'll take you in and show you where they're working out of this permitting trailer and the amount of space that they have. I mean, we're crowded, you should see, and they're trying to process, and this is not an excuse, but I'm just thinking, if they have actually a workstation where they can do their job and sit down with people and answer their questions and show them on a computer screen and anybody that's ever done any work, if you have the right tools, the job goes much
Right.
easier, right? So we have to make sure whatever tools they need, and Andy and Frankie are doing that. If they need something, they get it. If it's over a certain dollar amount, they got to come and ask the council for it. So anything we can do, there's no such thing as a bad idea in permitting. And we've had people come and make suggestions that we've implemented. We've had some that you just can't do that. You can't just look away from the Florida Building Code and here you go, walk out the door. So
Dan,
we got
speaking
work to
of the last question on the permitting, are there going to be people that did work without permits on the island that are going to get busted at some point? While all these other
sure.
folks have actually, how will they get? I mean, get caught? And
FEMA's here all the time looking. I think every single, as far as I know, every single municipality, including Lee County, has just gotten a list of permits that FEMA has said there's work that's been done on these properties. I think we got 106 properties.
Wow.
That they've said there's a scope of work that's been done that isn't in the permit. Why are you letting them do it?
Wow.
They're here. They're watching.
And so then what happens?
I don't know. I think, I mean, I don't think you can force someone to tear a house down, but it's going to come back on the town because they look at it as the town should be enforcing it. And if you don't know someone's doing something, it's hard to enforce.
Wow. So those.
Yeah, but how are you guys? I mean,
Well,
you
what
were
it does
just
is
saying about the permitting. Like, how are you supposed to be enforcing that when you're
trying
busy
to-
with other
yeah.
stuff?
Well, here, I'll give you an example. 2 weeks ago, there's a couple houses in a condo or a couple condos in the south end that were doing kind of the same work. And their argument was, we're doing the same scope of work. We're just rebuilding our shower.
Mhm.
Well, when I looked up the permits, one was a $6,000 job and one was a $60,000 job.
Oof.
So
That's
what is
a
it?
nice shower.
Well, when you read it, it was when you went through the scope of work and you read what the contractor was doing. It wasn't just the shower that they were replacing. It was the entire bathroom, all the doors, all the trim,
When you're taking a shower in a $60,000 shower, is somebody actually there to pick up the soap for you when you drop it? I mean, how do you come up with a $60,000 shower? I'd be
Really
afraid
nice
to go in.
fixtures.
I was working in a house down in Port Royal, and in a guest shower, the tile was $70,000. Came from Italy for just the guest shower. The homeowner came in, looked at it. I hate the color. Tear it out.
Wow. All right.
Were you able to take it
So
and put it in your house?
You can't. I wasn't doing the work. I was there doing lighting control stuff.
Well, bring it to my house. I'll take leftover tile.
That's a muckety muck.
Yeah. How do you get to that point
Yeah.
in life where you're saying, I don't like $70,000 tile in your shower? Wow.
That took a turn.
Yeah.
So
Just sharing a story.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Where was that house?
Port Royal.
I don't even know where Port Royal is.
It's down in Naples. It's
So,
a muckety muck
A
area.
couple of quick questions. Do you think? Do you know when we're going to see a proposal from Red Coconut from those guys? Are they going to bring something for not Red Coconut, but from the
Seagate?
Seagate?
No, I don't know when they're bringing it. I know that they're looking at the development agreement stuff we're talking about to see if there's a way, but I have not seen any designs. I haven't had any conversations with them as to what exactly they're looking to do. Just some broad ideas, kind of like what London Bay. They're throwing ideas out there. Here's what we think we want to do. How would the community take that? Or how
Those
would
two
they-
projects, Outrigger and Red Coconut, are going to be huge next year when they come forward with whatever the plans are. I mean, people are waiting to see.
Well, they're certainly taking their time, and I know for sure. I know London Bay did, and I know Seagate's meeting with the staff, talking to the staff. Here's what we're looking at.
Cool.
What can we do? What we can't do? So when they do submit, it should hopefully be as smooth as process as it can to get to the LPA for their input, and then to the council for eventual decision.
Yeah. So the Beach Theater folks have they're chatting about
a restaurant.
putting a restaurant in that building and knocking out the parking so they can have seats on the bottom. And that will bring up the parking issue again because they're knocking out parking, which is in a different area. I mean, what are your thoughts on whether they need that much parking there?
As I said in the council meeting, I think we have a bigger problem on the island for parking, but to try to say we get one spot here, one spot there, is it going to help? Sure, but if a business owner thinks that they can make their model work with less than what they think they need, who are we to tell them? And down there, everybody walks in. If you've ever gone out, everybody's walking and biking. They're not driving around anyway. Usually, you're just taking your bikes and going somewhere. So, it's again, if they think they can make it work and it fits within all the other parameters that it has to fit in.
Well, and for them to have a restaurant down there too, it'd be great for that area.
Something down there.
I think the council, I think, has been trying to be very cognizant of what people had before and try to give them a path that they didn't have before. Whether you're a business owner, whether you're a small landowner, whether you're whatever it is, try to get you to a place where you can at least try to get back what you had. And if you want more, there's a path in which you can go through to get to it.
Yep.
So I think staying consistent is the fairest way to do it, because then you're not singling out small landowners or big corporations or this land or that land. As long as you're trying to when a challenge presents itself, if you can look at it as how can we provide a path that we're not affecting anything legally and we're not challenging the building codes and we're staying within the rules, but allow them to get back what they had. And again, if they want to ask for more, they can come in and
staying
go
within
through
the
special
comp plan
exception
and all of that. Yeah.
They can come in and do that. And I think that's been a consistent message that the LPA and the council have tried to strive for over the last year.
Do you think that light at Crescent and Estero is the right thing to have there? People ask about that all the time now. Have they figured out how to make it work? So people seem to be complaining about traffic backing up on Estero now, and it's not everybody's here.
I think every week it's getting better. I mean,
Okay.
we live on this towards the middle of the island by Publix, so we sit in the traffic. We see when it's the difference that I've noticed is that the traffic doesn't stop. Before the storm, you would be sitting there for 3 to 5 minutes, and then you maybe move another car. Now you're just kind of slow rolling through the traffic. So if you look at the Crescent, essentially what that is what was at the Yo Taco before. That crosswalk is what held up, in my opinion,
Right.
every single day. That's what held it up because people were coming from the
Right.
beach and they were crossing. There was no signal. There was no traffic guard there. There was no nothing. So every time there's someone that goes into the crosswalk, you've got to
People
stop.
got to stop.
You got to
yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
You got to stop. So at least the light, I think now people are understanding when the light's red and you get the green hand that says come on across, then you walk across. People aren't just darting out. So I think once they get rid of, right now, the biggest thing I see is when you're coming onto the island, the turn lane that's blocked off.
That left turn lane. Yeah.
That's blocking a lot of the traffic coming onto the island because they're sitting there waiting to turn left to go down Crescent, but they don't have that turn lane to
Right.
go in. So I think once, I don't know where they're at as far as finishing what they were doing on the
That's going
sidewalk
to be
over
a
there.
big help.
Right.
But once they get that turn lane open, people that are going to turn down Crescent can not hold
And
up
once
traffic.
that whole area where the county owns the property and that whole, whatever they call it, the
At the base of
teardrop
the
or whatever,
bridge there,
that's
yeah.
going to help a lot.
Yeah.
It'll all help. There'll be a trolley stop in there. I don't know where that's at as far as being out for bid and if it's come back or not. That'd probably be better.
And
Well,
far-
I did hear the thing you always talk about the light counting down. It's 10,
And
9, 8.
It's loud too. You can
Yeah,
hear
it
it.
is.
And far be it from me to teach anybody common sense because I have none, but you really shouldn't stop at the green light and let people cross. There's a reason that there's a light there
I
now.
know.
Don't stop your car at the green light and let people cross because they're standing there. They're waiting for the guy to say, go, 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 go.
Yeah. Well, and I talked to the sheriff's department about it. Actually, I talked to Captain Layler and asked what is the, people are so in tune. If someone's at a crosswalk, you stop and you let them
Right.
cross.
Right.
Well, you don't have to stop because they're not in the crosswalk. If they're in the crosswalk, you have to stop. But if they're on the sidewalk, you don't.
But they
Is my
shouldn't be in the
understanding.
crosswalk unless the
Right.
thing's telling them
But
to go.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's gotten much better over
Yeah,
the
yeah,
last 2
yeah,
weeks.
yeah.
People are
Well, I think
they're
people have to
waiting
get
and-
used to it. They have to, the drivers and the walkers.
well, there's a
'Cause
lot
I-
of people looking too. They're looking
Yeah,
around at all the
yeah.
stuff that's going on.
And
Yeah.
by the way, you don't have to walk in the road. You can go over the overpass.
Right,
sure,
You can
right.
walk over the overpass and enjoy the view.
Yeah, and I see more people now crossing across the overpass. It's like ants. They're just
Yeah.
Because there's a bathroom up there, a very clean public bathroom,
is
which
it?
is it's very nice
you would
amenity to have.
be the person
Yeah.
that would know that.
But by the way, Margaritaville has really nice, clean bathrooms. And somebody had a question from the audience. Do you know about the Wyndham property? What they're doing with knocking that building
I
down?
haven't heard anything, but I
Okay.
was down there this morning, driving around checking out the island, and the south end fared really well from the storm, just like it did after Adalia. So, most of those people down there have the bigger beach, plus they have the
Berm.
the berm.
Mhm.
So the streets weren't nearly, it was much cleaner down there, but that property really stuck out to me. And I see ICS has their stuff kind of parked in front of it, kind of blocking it, but I have not heard from them one word as to what their plans are.
Did we miss anything? Do you want to update?
yes.
Yes, go right. Oh, we have a question from our live studio audience. Ma'am, come on down. Come on down. We need to hear the question.
Spin the
Come on.
wheel.
Come on down. The 7-Eleven. I know that. February.
February.
The one on the south end with the gas. Oh, the one in the middle. I don't know about that one. Dan, do you?
Those have to be completely rebuilt. So they're focusing on the south one first to get that open. So we at least have gas on the island, and they're rebuilding. My last conversation with they're going to try to do them all at the same time. The 7-Eleven across from the Junkanoo is the one I think you're talking about, and then the one up here across from Lynn Hall Park, and then I don't know what they're doing with the one off the island on Pine Ridge Road yet, but
Yeah, I can't
That doesn't
believe that
matter.
one's not
but
open
they
yet.
are building them back.
Great question.
Oh, one other question.
Great question. Come on down, ma'am. Come on
Yes,
down.
yes.
That was a ringing the bell for you. Come on down. You're
This is
the next
Cookie.
contestant
Hi,
on The
Cookie.
Price is Right. I don't know what your question was. She's like me. She walked 10 feet and forgot her question.
She was doing a celebratory walk.
Well, nobody can hear you. Can you speak into the mic? So
Okay, if
There you go.
I come down my street,
yes,
take your earplugs
I can
off,
hear you loud and clear, man.
and I clean up crap all around my neighborhood, where can I put it where somebody will pick it up?
You should be able to put it out with your trash. When you put your trash out every day, your normal waste that you
That's
put
what
out.
I've been doing, but some of the stuff is bigger than I think they're going to want to pick up
Hmm.
because it's heavy.
If it's bigger, just reach out to Waste Management and let them know you've got something bigger to pick up, and they will schedule someone to come out and pick it up.
Okay,
Thank you.
good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've got a thankless task.
Yes. So do I.
Yeah, but I get to meet
Oh,
people like you,
please.
Cookie.
Thank you. What street? What street do you live on? What street do you live on? Oh,
Nice
I'm
try,
gonna do
though.
a video down her
Nice
street.
try, though.
She's gonna have the kitchen sink out by the side, waiting for Waste Management to come pick it up. Thank you for participating, though. Does anybody else in the audience have a question? Anyone else? Anyone on the Facebook? I know you had some updates. Go right ahead.
Oh yeah, we'll just update the Santa and the bike parade. We had to move it from Saturday to this coming Saturday, the 23rd, because of the weather. It's still going to be the same time. Everything's going to still. I believe you were able to get the band to move to play next Saturday night, so it's still on, but it'll be next Saturday. So if you're in town, come in. It's really cool. It started out as a very small event. A friend of ours named Danielle that used to live on Fairweather called us up and said, "Hey, let's decorate the bikes and go for a bike ride." My daughters were in town at the time, so we brought them down. Megan and I, and Heidi and Bruiser. There was 6 or 8 of us, and just rode up and down. And then the next year it got bigger, and then the next year it got bigger, and then we moved it from Fairweather down to Madison and started decorating there. And then it got too big for Madison, so we had to meet everybody at the Junkanoo parking lot.
Mhm.
And then going through, I tell you that the highlight of that whole thing was going through Red Coconut. Every
I
year,
remember.
people were
Yeah.
booking to come
Crazy.
back because they knew we'd be coming through. And then we'd go up and down, and the people, you guys,
Yeah.
they come running out, and just the kids are smiling. Everybody's having a good time. So we're going to do it again this year. We'll take off. We'll head down to Diamond Head. We got, I believe, a couple bikes to give away.
Oh,
So-
wow. I didn't
so
know that. That's a new addition. There. Very nice.
How many people do you think now
I think
you're up
FMB
to?
Strong is doing that.
Okay.
What's that?
How many people?
I
do
don't.
you
Well,
think?
the last year before the storm, we were close to 100 people.
Wow. So it's quite a sight to see. And then
It
did
is.
the sheriff gave you a escort? Is that what they did?
Well, they did. So the one year we did it, we were going around Palermo Circle, and we had our music playing, and everybody stopped to say hi, and there were people that were coming out, and so we had literally all of Palermo Circle blocked, and down comes the sheriff's deputy, turns the lights on, and we're like, oh, and everybody's yelling, "Santa, you got to get up here, Santa!" I'm like, well, let me go talk to Santa. Okay, so Santa goes up there, and as he's walking up to the car, Christmas music starts coming out of the PA system.
Nice.
On the squad car, and she was, I wish I could remember her name, but she was really sweet, and she called into command and said, there's a lot of people, can we help them get on and off the stereo? So she followed in front of us and played Christmas music, and got us on and off the stereo safely.
Crazy.
So it worked out pretty fun. It was pretty cool.
So
That is
it's
cool.
it starts. It'd be organizing at Rude Shrimp
Yep.
Saturday at 5.
4:35.
4:35.
Right.
And after they take off, it'll wind up at Bayside Park, and there'll be a band playing from 6 to 9. Simplify. If you want to come down
Yep.
to be in the bike parade, or if you want to come down and just enjoy the free music at Bayside Park.
So we're planning on leaving, coming out, one of the streets over there, and coming down 3rd, going up through, getting on Estero, going down Estero to Diamond Head, stopping at Diamond Head for a little bit for people that may have to use the bathroom or give out a couple of bikes.
Yeah, I see you nod to him
We gotta end.
appropriately so.
Got to end this show. I got to go again.
and then turn around and coming back the same route, turning in front of Mr. Waves there and coming down Old San Carlos all the way down to the Bayside Park for the concert. So we're hoping to make the whole loop and be back.
Wow.
Sounds like we need to decide this guy for the bike.
No
He's got
kidding.
a louder system than we have on the
You
golf
can
cart.
certainly crank out some.
So we're
Christmas
hoping to be
music.
back by 6:30, 6:30 back to Bayside Park. And the band, I think, plays from 6 to 9, right?
Yep, 6 to 9. And it turned out, it actually worked out a lot better because the Estero Island Historical Society open house was supposed to be yesterday, and
Yep.
they moved it to Friday. So we'll be able to go home and take a nap before we come back for the bike parade.
Yes.
So it'll be next Friday from 2 to 4 o'clock.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Dan.
161 Bay Road.
Thank you very much. Ladies and
Thank you.
gentlemen, the mayor of Fort Myers Beach, Dan Allers. Thank you, Dan, for coming on every Sunday here at Wahoo Willie's rather than Monday. So, folks, I know you usually tick off after we do our last update with the mayor, but in order for us to get $70,000 tile for our bathroom, I need to tell you who our sponsors are of the show, and that includes the great Alex King from Current Coastal Realty. Everybody knows Alex because he's the only guy left on the planet that wears Crocs when he's walking around, and he's well known for his Crocs and the fact that he takes good care of people when he sells and buys real estate here on Fort Myers Beach. And you can call Alex right now because he's sitting out in his car and his cell phone is hot at 239-849-3663. That's 239-849-3663.
Did you forget something?
I didn't forget anything, but
Not you.
I did. And my lovely wife just reminded me that everybody that lives on the island remembers Mitch Pena, right?
Mhm.
yes.
And how he used to decorate his yard. I think this year we want to try to entice people to decorate their yard.
Yeah.
And Megan is very good at creating awards. So she's going to create an award for the Mitch Pena Award for the best decorated yard on Fort Myers Beach. So
Wow.
that's a challenge
That
to
is a
anybody
great
that wants
idea.
to decorate
Yeah.
their
Yeah,
They're,
you should send me that. Please send me that information, Megan, so I can put it out in the newsletter and put it out on the Facebook. So, yeah. And you're going to give away $1 million? Is that what it was? Or a free golf cart? I think I heard the free golf cart
If it can
part.
be printed from our printer, yep.
He's got a 3D printer
All
at
right.
his house, everybody. All right, that's a great idea. So,
Do you want some help here?
and it's gotten windy and cold all of
Yeah.
a sudden. It's like
Yep.
I feel the goosebumps on my skinny legs. Sylvester Companies is a licensed, bonded, and insured builder in Southwest Florida and Central Michigan with full-time crews, and they are registered and currently working on large-scale projects in Sarasota County, Lee County, Charlotte County, and many other places, including, yes, Fort Myers Beach. And Paul Sylvester is a good egg. He does a lot of great stuff for the community, and we appreciate him sponsoring the show. And you can call Paul right now because he's sitting out in his trailer or his car with his cell phone is hot. And the phone number is 989-239-5538. And if Diane wants to type that in, she's typing everything else in. Thank you, Diane. Again, Paul's phone number is 989-239-5538.
You know,
Finally,
if people wanted to get a hold of you, you know where I would put the tagline for where you'll be? You will be in the bathroom because you spend an inordinate amount of time in the bathroom.
there's no reason to clap for that, ladies
You
and
can
gentlemen. I
call
could have a
him
serious
at
problem.
239-247-3833. He will be
How
in the
dare you
bathroom with his
clap about
phone.
that? I could have a serious bowel issue problem. Anyway, our last sponsor for today is Valerie's Lounge. Valerie's Lounge is located just off Fort Myers Beach by the Walmart, and they have the Flying Hasselhoffs. Does anybody remember what the Hasselhoff guy's car used to be? Does anybody remember the name of the car? Yeah, well, look at all the old farts in this place. They remember everything. Sorry about that. The Flying Hasselhoffs. They perform every Thursday night starting at 9 o'clock. Holy shit, that's late. 9 o'clock. Kick off your weekend with the Flying Hasselhoffs. They also have karaoke. It's every Tuesday at 8:30. Again, 8:30. Why don't they start anything at 8:30 a.m.? I'd be good at that. Valerie's Lounge is now a non-smoking environment, open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. until 2 a.m. They have drink specials daily. So thank you so much to the Flying Hasselhoffs and Valerie's Liquors and Lounge. All right, folks, have a great week, and we will see you next Saturday from Margaritaville and next Sunday here at Wahoo Willie's. And tomorrow is a town council meeting at 9 o'clock, so we'll be broadcasting that live. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.